So let's
Yeah.
get right into it. Project
Okay.
2025. El Hajj Saladin, would you mind
Okay.
introducing
All
us,
right.
explaining to us what is Project 2025?
Okay. Well, Project 2025 is a policy agenda that, as I said last time, episode one, if you want to call it episode, that this is nothing new, brothers and sisters out there. They were working on this policy since the Reagan administration. And some of you weren't born, perhaps, during the Reagan administration. Reagan was the president. He won 2 terms in the 1980s. And so the Heritage Foundation, these are think tanks, one of them in particular, but there are other foundations, but they're spearheading Project 2025. They started with President Ronald Wilson Reagan during the 1980s. They was able to get as much as they possibly could under his 2 terms, but then they had to wait for the right president that would buy into their philosophy. And so they waited for George W. Bush. Then they waited, of course, for Donald J. Trump, which last time I said is mentioned that they said they was able to get 64% of their agenda achieved under Donald President former President Donald J. Trump. Now they want to implement most of the policies that are in the agenda if Donald J. Trump get elected again. As I told our brothers and sisters out there, every president, whether they're Democrat, Republican, has a policy agenda. This is why it's so important that we vote our interests, not against our interests. When we vote our interests, we have certain expectations. And so Project 2025 is 900 pages long. I don't believe that Donald J. Trump, if he gets elected, going to read 900 pages. But there may be some things that he would buy into if he got elected. These political fights, if you will, didn't start with Donald J. Trump. As I said earlier, the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 was started during the Reagan administration. Well, obviously, if Reagan was the president in the 1980s and we dealing with Project 2025 right now, that should tell you, as I said earlier in the last program, we as a people and the American people, we think no further than our nose. We're talking about almost 30 to 40 years later that they still were around and still was trying to implement policies. This is why it's so important that when we vote, whether local elections or federal elections, what is it in the interest of us, the voter? Now, if you sign on to these uh, projects that they have implemented, you might be voting against your own interests. I'll share that later because I'm gonna let Brother Kevin come on, and then we're gonna, go to the meat of what this discussion. We don't. I'm saying this from the outset. We're not trying to. I'm not trying to plant fear in our people. I'm not trying to scare people to vote for either candidate. As I said last time, you can vote for who you want to. Make sure that you vote in your own interests. Read what they stand for. If they started out as a congressman, a U.S. senator, state senator, they all have a record to run on. Read and study who you're voting for. So you won't be shocked when they start signing bills, signing executive orders, and you're shocked. Well, I voted for him. Yeah, well, you didn't understand the policies. So I'm going to back up a little bit, let brother Kevin um, say something in reference to this, and we'll continue this discussion.